Welcome. In this video I'd just like to tell you a little bit about what WordPress is. WordPress is free web-based software that you can use to create a beautiful website or blog. It is free and open source, and what this really means is that it has a wonderful community of developers and users who are constantly contributing to the software, and that's one of the reasons why it is so popular and it is so good. It was originally created as a blogging platform, but is now developed into a full-blown content management system, or CMS. It is web-based, as I mentioned before, so therefore it works on PC, Mac, Linux, and with the use of apps, you can actually use it on mobile devices such as your iPad, your iPhone, BlackBerry, or your Android devices. WordPress has become increasingly popular, and it currently powers over 60 million websites. It has thousands of extensions and themes, and this is what has really made WordPress so popular and so powerful, because there are so many different layouts and you can really create a beautiful website with the themes and the extensions, the plugins really make WordPress so nimble, and you can do pretty much anything with WordPress. It is available in two flavors at WordPress.com, which is a fully hosted version, but there are some limitations as to what you can use these sites for, and a lot of the features are premium features you would have to pay for. And additionally, there's the version available at WordPress.org, which is self-hosted, which you install on your hosting account or domain. And this is the version that we're going to focus on throughout this video course. So in the next set of videos, I'm going to take you through how you can install WordPress, create your site, edit your site, customize it. And the beautiful thing about WordPress is that you can do all of this in your browser and without having to edit any HTML. And this is why it really is so easy to use. So join me in the next set of videos as I show you how powerful WordPress is. In this video we are going to install WordPress from our control panel. So I'm just presuming that you've already gotten a hosting account with the control panel and you've registered your domain. So the first thing you want to do is go and look for software/services, and depending on your hosting account this may be slightly different. So here you'll see Softaculous, and a popular one is also Fantastico Deluxe, or you may see Auto Install. And if you don't see any of these, then you just want to contact your hosting provider and just find out exactly which auto installer they have. They all basically pretty much work the same. So so I'm just going to go ahead and use Softaculous because that's the software that is available in this hosting account. And what you will do is you see a list of scripts, software that you can install using this auto installer, and WordPress is the first one. So I'm just going to go ahead and click install, and then you have a couple of options here. And the first thing you want to do is choose the location from which you are in which you're going to install WordPress. So you go through your domains, and in this case I'm going to install on wpvideosidekick.com, and the next thing is the directory in which you're going to install WordPress. Now if you leave this area blank, then it will install in the root of your domain. So in this case it would install at wpvideosidekick.com. But if you type something in this area such as news or blog, then it will install at wpvideosidekick.com / and blog, and that will be the location of your site. Now most of the other settings are pretty straightforward. So the next thing is you want to give your site a name. So in this case, I'm going to call it WP Video Sidekick. And one of the things I just like about Softaculous, and it's not available in all the other installers, is just the ability to customize this part. Of course, I give a site description, become a WP Pro. And really, the more unique you can make your installation is the safer your site will be. So the next thing we look at is the admin account, and by default it will say admin, and I advise that you change this because this is a serious security vulnerability. So you want to change that, and of course create a unique password. Now, because this is a demonstration video, I'm just going to leave it the username as admin and just create a password, because of course I'm not going to use this for any serious purposes, and you just want to add your email, and this will be used when for communications from the site to you. So if there are updates, if there are comments to be approved on your site, then it will go to that email. So then we just click install, and this will happen pretty quickly, as you will find, and there you go. It's pretty much finished, and that's how quickly it works. And what has happened in the background is that all the technical stuff, the MySQL databases, the installing of WordPress, and you will see that the location of your site is wpvideosidekick.com/blog, and the administrative URL is wpvideosidekick.com/blog wp-admin, and that is where you would go to log into the backend of your site. So just go and we're going to go and check out the site, and what you will see here is one of the default themes and just some content that has been created just so that your site isn't there and you can get a feel of what the site will look like. And of course there's a test post, there's a test page, and of course you will want to edit it, and this is what we are going to do in the next set of videos, and that is to customize our site. In this video I'm going to show you how you can install WordPress manually through FTP or File Transfer Protocol, and we're going to need a couple of things. And the first thing you're going to need is the WordPress software. So you can get it at www.wordpress.org, and you just click this button that says download WordPress, and you want to always come here to get the latest version of WordPress. Now the reason that we install WordPress manually is just to get around some of the vulnerabilities that occur when we use auto installers such as Fantastico Deluxe, because this allows us to just customize the installation. And one of the things that we want to do is always get the latest version of WordPress, because sometimes when you use an auto installer it isn't the latest version. So you just select download WordPress. I already have it on my desktop, so I'm not going to download it again. And the next thing we're going to need is an FTP client. Now you can get one free called FileZilla, which is also open source, at filezilla-project.org. So that's filezilla-project.org, and what you want to do is get the download FileZilla client and not the download FileZilla server. So that's the client, and what this FTP client does is allows you to just upload multiple files to your server, and at a faster rate, because when you upload files to cPanel sometimes there are limitations on the file size. So this just gets around that problem, allows you to install pretty quickly. So you just go ahead and download the files to the client, and then you would activate the software as you would do any other software, and when you do that it will look like this. And just one thing, if you go back, when you download the WordPress package, it's in a zip file, so you will have to unzip it, and then you go into FileZilla. And just a quick tutorial on how to connect using FileZilla. At the very top here, you will have host, and what you put here is ftp dot your site name. In this case, I'm using WP Video Sidekick.com. So that's FTP, not www dot or HTTP. So it's FTP, your site name.com. And then the username, in most cases, will be the same username you use to log into cPanel. So that's the username and password for cPanel. And the port, you don't have to put it. The default should be 21, but you don't have to enter anything there. And once you do that, you just select Quick Connect, and you will connect to your server. And what you see something similar to this. On the left hand side will actually be the files on your desktop, and on the right hand side will actually be the files at your server, at your hosting account. So what I'm actually going to do, because you have to find the location where you've downloaded the WordPress package. So I'm just going to go back to the screen that you'll probably see, and to go up a folder, you just click this folder at the very top with the two dots beside it, and you will probably see something like this, and on the server side something like this. Okay, so in my case I would go to users, then I go to documents. Chances are you will have the WordPress package in your downloads folder. I'll just go to documents. I know that's where I have it. Let me go back up. Sorry, users. Right, so I go to my documents folder, and WordPress 3.8.1, and it's the folder that's unzipped. And on the right hand side you will go to your public HTML folder, and this is just where you have all the public files for your website. And once you get in there, now what you're seeing, you will see some files in here. Chances are, if you've just activated this domain, and this is the only domain you have in your hosting, you won't see anything there. Well, I do have WordPress already installed in my main site, but the site that we're going to use is actually an add-on domain. And if this is the case where you're using an add-on domain, you just search for it, and in this case WP Video Sidekick. So if this was your main, let me just go back one step. If this was your main domain on the hosting account, and that's where you wanted to upload WordPress, then once you get inside your public HTML folder, you would be in the root of that domain, and this is where you would upload the WordPress files from the left. Well, like I said, in my case, I am uploading the files to an add-on domain, so I select wpvideosidekick.com, and now I'm in the root of that domain. So what we want to do is just select all these files, and we can do two things. We can drag the files over to this side and drop it, or we can just right click and select upload. Now this will take some time to upload to our site, so while that is happening, I'm just going to pause this video and we'll pick up in another video. Just one more quick thing, back in FileZilla. Now, if you didn't want to install WordPress in the root of your domain, like I said, I'm in the root. If you look at the top here, it says remote site public _HTML wpvideosidekick.com. So I'm in the root of that domain. But if you wanted to install WordPress in a subdirectory, so say you wanted to install in WP Video Sidekick /blog, then you would just right click, create directory, name the directory blog, select OK, then you would have opened that folder, and then you would have uploaded all the WordPress files from the package into this area. Okay, so I'm actually just going to jump over to my site. So while the package is uploading, if you go to the home page of your site, you'll probably see something that looks like this, index of, and so there's nothing there right now, and that's fine. That's how it's supposed to look. And when WordPress has completed the upload, which it's just about finished, and it will take some time because it is a large package. If we go back over, so at our site now, all the files for WordPress have been uploaded. So if we refresh, then you'll see something very different. Now you just see this message here that says there doesn't seem to be a WP config file, and there's a button here that says create a configuration file. So you go ahead and select that button, and then you come to another page that says you will need the following: database name, database username, database password, database host, etc. And to get all of these, what we have to do is go to our cPanel as a hosting account and go ahead and just create a MySQL database. Now, I personally prefer to use the wizard because it just does it in a nice systematic way. So we select MySQL database wizard, and this is where we get to really customize the installation. So you can just put some random characters there, and you want to ensure that you have something like Notepad or even a bit of paper to write down, all the information that we're going to create here. So I have Notepad ready, so I go to next step. Then I create a username for that database, and then I need to create a password. So there's a built-in password generator, so you can just use it, copy, and just click this box that says I've copied this password in a safe place, use password, and it will just populate the password fields. And you want to go ahead and just type password, paste it there, and then you select create user. So passwords do not match, so let me just paste them again, and then we need to retype this bit at the top. Create user, and then it would just say that the user has been created with this password. So we are going to copy this information, the user name, over to our Notepad file, and we also need the database name, so we need to copy that over as well. So database name. If we go back to our site, you see they ask for database name, username, password, database host, and the table prefix. So if we go back, so we've copied the database username and the database name, and we have our password. And this box here that says all privileges, we just want to tick it so that we can have all the privileges which we will need to create this use this database for our WordPress installation. So we just select next step, and we just have a summary of the username, just in case you didn't get to copy it in the last page. You absolutely need to copy this information without the quotation marks. Okay, so if we go back over to our site, then this button at the bottom, we can just select Let's Go, and you will be taken to this screen where you will enter your database name. So we just go back to our Notepad file, and we have our database name. So the name and user. So we copy all of that over. And then the password goes there. Now for the database host, in 99% of cases, this will be the default. You don't have to change this. But if you enter this and it doesn't work, then you will have to contact your hosting company just to find out what it is that they use as their database hosts. But in 99% of the cases, this will work. And the table prefix, now you could just add a few letters and numbers just to customize this as well. And it's, as you see, the little note here says it's useful if you want to run multiple WordPress installations. So I'm just going to go ahead and select Submit, and we will just get this message that says, okay, you made it through this part of the installation. WordPress can now communicate with your database, and you just run the install, and then you would just have a few more customizations. Some of this will look familiar to you from when we did the installation automatically. So you name your sites, WP Video Sidekick, the username. You want to create something unique. I usually just use a combination of letters and numbers. Never use admin. And so now we just go back to our notepad. So our WP username, we need to just save that, and the password, and you just need to create something that's strong. Try using some common letters and capital letters, and what I'll do is just go back WP password. So if we go and I'm just creating a random password because this is just for demonstration. And if we go back here and we just paste it in, and the next thing you'd have to do is enter an email so that you can receive updates, and this will be the email that will be used for communication. And the last field that we have here is the privacy field, and you can just leave this ticked, allow search engines to index this site, and then you just select install. And then you will just see the screen here that says success, WordPress has been installed, and you've selected a username and of course the password that you selected. And if you just click the button that says login, it will take you to the login page, log into your site, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm just going to go back to the home page of our site, and now you can see that instead of the message that we had there, which was pretty much blank. Now we have a site installed with one of the default themes for WordPress and just some default post widgets, etc. So in the next set of videos, I'll take you through exactly how you can customize the site, change the themes, plugins, etc. Okay, so that's how you install WordPress manually through FTP. In this video, I just want to introduce you to the WordPress dashboard, and as you can see, we are here at our home page, and you can see one of the default themes that was installed when we install WordPress. And to get to our dashboard, we just need to put a / and then wp admin, wp-admin to our main website address, and then select enter, and it will just take us to a page where we can log in, and you would put your username and your password, which you would have created when you were installing WordPress. So if we just select login, and you will just see a few quick links here on the right hand side to say WordPress news and some other, and you can open and close these just by clicking on the arrow beside the label, as you can do here. And you can also just move these around if you want it for convenience. And on the left hand side you will see the main tabs, the main options. First one is a link to the home page of our dashboard, which if you click this link it will take you back to this exact location, and you see a link here for updates, which you should pay attention to. Whenever there is an update, you will see a number here. Let me just click on updates real quick, and you will see that it says that you have the latest version of WordPress, plugins are all up to date, your themes are all up to date. And this is important for, especially for security, as well as the functionality of WordPress and your plugins and themes. So you want to ensure that as soon as there's an update, that you do go ahead and update it. And you also want to create backups also as well before you do update, especially when it's a large update like the WordPress software itself. And we'll cover backups in another video, but for now you will see the other options here on the left hand side, and if there are additional options you will see, and it will just pop out. But if you were to go to this post page, you would also see some of these options that came. You'll see on the left hand side here the options that were previously on the pop out. So if we go back to our dashboard, the first thing you want to do is a bit of house cleaning, and we do that by going to settings and permalinks. Now the other options that are on the side here, we will cover these in future videos, so don't worry about it. But for now we're just going to go settings and permalinks, and we want to adjust our permalinks. Our permalink is basically the URLs that are created when we create content on our site. And by default, WordPress creates a page ID for each posted page that we create. Now, what it does is that it also puts this page ID into the URL structure, and well, this is not good for search engine optimization, and quite frankly it doesn't really make sense to people. It makes a lot of sense to the software, but not much sense to regular people. So let me just show you something real quick. If we will go to pages and select all pages, and by default a sample page would have been created, and if we select view let me just open this in a new tab. You will see where it says our website address and then page ID equals 2. So of course this is ugly, it doesn't make any sense, and you do want to change this. So to change this, to put it in a format that's a lot more friendly, let's just go back to our permalinks. Then you just go down to the option that says post name, click the radio button beside it, and you will see under custom structure that a change has been made. And what you want to do is save this, save changes, and if we go back to our sample page and just refresh, you will see that it no longer has the question sign p equals 2, and it actually just says sample page, which makes a lot more sense. So now that we've sorted out, you know, our permalinks structure, then we can go in our next video and look at, you know, creating posts and pages. In this video, I just want to quickly, you know, explain the differences between posts and pages, and really the best way to do this is to actually show you. So if we go to this very popular website, if you look along the top here in our menu, then pages like your privacy policy, about us, contact, these are pages, and the information on these pages don't change very often, and usually you wouldn't put comments, allow comments on these pages. So pages are ideal for information that's not really time sensitive, but information that you want your users to be able to access at all times. On the other hand, and pages are actually very static, so they're more static. On the other hand, posts tend to be time sensitive. For example, all these links here on the side are for posts, and if you look here, it's like news updates. This one is 5 minutes ago, this one is 14 minutes ago, etc. And so we use posts for information that is more time sensitive, like I said, like news and updates about your site or your business. And generally you do allow comments on posts, but it's totally up to you. You can remove comments from posts, and we'll take a look at that in a future video. And you can add comments to pages. You do have the option to. But this is just to quickly show you some of the differences between posts and pages. And one more thing about posts is that they tend to appear in your site, as you can see here, in reverse chronological order. So newer posts will show up first. So eventually what will happen is that if you have a lot of posts, then depending on how you set your website up, then older posts will eventually disappear off your front page. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of the difference between posts and pages. In this video we're going to create a post, and here we are at our home page of our website, and as you can see here, there is a post that was already created called Hello World, and by default posts will appear on your home page, and there is an option to change that, and we'll look at that in a future video. But this post of course was created when we installed WordPress, and it's just there for you to get a feel of how posts look on your website. So to create a new post, we of course have to log into our admin area at WP admin. And from our menu, select posts. And we will see a list of all the posts that have been created on our website. And as you can see, our Hello World post is here, and we have the option to edit it quick edit, trash, or view the post. Now, you should delete this post because, of course, it's there for demonstration purposes, but I won't delete it just yet, as I want you to see how it will be affected once we create a new post. So to do that, we select Add New from the top there. And before we actually create the post, there are a few things on this page I want you to become familiar with. The first thing is at the very top here, in the right hand corner, is the screen options. Now this allows you to just customize what options appear on this screen. And you will see that a couple of boxes are already ticked: formats, categories, tags, featured image. And if you go and look at the right hand side here, you will see format, categories, and tags. So if you wanted to remove those options, you would just untick the boxes. And there are some additional options here that you probably do want to tick, such as the discussion box. And what that will do is allow you to control comments and chat back and pingbacks on your posts. Okay, the next thing we want to look at is the title. Of course, you'd want to name your post, and remember, based on how we set up our permalinks, the name of your post will appear in the URL. Okay, and you do have the option to adjust it, and I will show you how to do this. The next area is this area here, which is our WYSIWYG editor. Now, WYSIWYG is an acronym that stands for what you see is what you get. So essentially, whatever you type here and is basically how it will look on the front end of your site. If we go back over to the right hand side, you will see a couple of options. Right now the post is in draft status because we haven't typed in anything and we haven't selected publish. So once we'd finish, we'd select publish. And there are a couple of other options, such as the visibility, right? By default, all posts will be set to public, but you do have the option to select the post as password protected, where everyone will be able to see the post, but they will be prompted to enter a password to actually see the content. And another option is the private option, which no one will actually be able to see these posts at all except for your logged in users, which you have granted access to, such as your admin and editors, etc. And the password protected option is actually a great option to use to offer content to your members, paid content, etc. Okay, and if we go further down, you see, so let me set this back at public, and you will see format. Now, by default, there's a standard format for all WordPress posts, and that's what we are going to use, but you do have some other options, such as aside, image, video. And what these options will do, if you select them, they will, of course, for example, if you were to select image, and you had an image in your posts, which is obviously why you'd want to select it, it would just highlight how the post will be displayed on your website, would highlight that image. And the same for video, audio, etc. Now, how it is displayed really does depend on the theme that you're using. So that is something you would have to test out to see the results. But for now, we're going to use a standard format because that will allow us to add all those types of media. And also there are categories. Now, this allows you to basically, put your posts in a particular order. So for example, if your website was about sports and you covered soccer and basketball, then you could create a category just by add new category and name it soccer. So all the posts that you had about soccer would go in that category. You could just select it. and it makes it a lot easier, well, for you in terms of keeping your website in order, and also for your users who maybe are just interested in soccer, or users who are just interested in basketball to access those posts. And of course there are tags, which is really more for search engine optimization, which just, allows you to, give a description to say what your post is all about. And you can also set a featured image, which would show up, say, in an excerpt of your post on the front end of your site, so that people can have an idea of what your post is all about. Now, this video is actually getting a bit long, so I'm going to pause here, and in the next video we will actually create some content in our post. Okay, so let's go ahead now and add some content and create our post. Now, the first thing we want to do is to name our post, so I'll just name this test post, and I've already prepared some text to add. This is Latin, so if it doesn't make any sense, don't worry about it. It's just for us to have some text to play around with. And I mentioned you'll be able to edit the text in the WYSIWYG editor in a similar way that you would edit it in any word processor such as Microsoft Word. So you have the option to bold, add italics, strike throughs, and if you notice, if you just put your cursor over the icons, it will tell you exactly what it does. So you can add an unordered list, an ordered list, block quotes, align left, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and we have a button here that says show or hide the kitchen sink, and pressing this button will either remove or add that second line of options, okay, which would give us additional styling options such as adding paragraph tags, heading tags to style our text. So very quickly I'm just going to go and just highlight some text, make it bold, highlight some more text, and let me undo that. If I wanted to make this entire line a coat, then highlight these block quotes, and last but not least, let's add a link. So if we highlight the text and we select this button here that looks like a chain link, and then we just put the destination that we want our link to go to. You can name the link for your own purposes, and you have the option to open the link in a new window or tab, which I like to do, so that visitors can easily get back to my site if the link is an external link. And all you have to do now is go over and select publish. Of course, as we mentioned, you could put excuse me, you could put your post in a category. I created 2 other categories just while I was testing, but I'm just going to add this post to the uncategorized because that was our default category, and I won't add any tags or featured image, just so that you can see exactly what the post would look like. And I'll hit publish. And just a few quick things. You would have seen the URL for this post would now include the name of the post, which is why the name is so important. And if you wanted to change it, you could just select edit. For example, if the name of your post was very long and it created a long URL, you could just shorten it But in this case, I'm going to leave it as is. You just select OK, and I'm going to go ahead and view the post. Okay, so there's our post with our styling, bold, our quotes, and our link, which if we click it will go to the destination that we had put in at google.com. Okay, now it's taking some time to load, but there you go, Google. Okay, now if we go back to our site and we just select visit site, actually let me do this from Dashboard. Select a new tab, wpvideosidekick.com, select enter, and it's still showing our original post. Maybe it's because I'm still logged in. Okay, let me open up another browser, go to our home page, and there you go. There's our new post. And as you can see, the previous post, which was hello world, now appears below our new post. And that's what will happen to new posts. The more and more posts you create, then they will fall down in the order. Okay, so that's it for this video. We will look at creating pages next. The process for creating a page is very similar to creating posts, and to do this we go to pages, and we will see a list of all our existing pages. A sample page was created during our installation of WordPress, and again you should trash this page because of course it's there for demonstration, but I won't do that just yet, just so that you can see how pages will be displayed on our website, especially after we create our new page. So to create the new page, we just select add new, and here we have a WYSIWYG editor, similar to when we were creating a post. And the first thing we want to do is name the page. I'm going to call this page about me, and again I prepared some text, and the process is similar. We can make the text bold, etc. In this case I'm going to use use this top line here, use the heading 1 tag, and okay, let me undo that, didn't mean to apply it to all of the text. Let me just press enter and separate this line of text, and then so that first line has become a heading, and I'll just center align it, and you can just play around again with the text, underline this bit here, and so on and so forth. So after we've completed our editing, we can just go ahead and publish. Now, just a slightly different set of options for a page, and you remember when we were creating posts we had categories over here on the right, but now instead we have page attributes. Now, if we go back up here to our screen options, let me just select discussion, so that which controls our comments, and of course there's an author option which allows you to assign an author to the page. Now the author information actually doesn't show up for pages actually in posts, so if you ever wanted to change the author for your post, you could just select that option. But if we go back to page attributes now, what you can do here is select a parent page for this page. So what would happen is that if we selected the sample page as a parent page, then in our menu, this page would appear below the sample page. And we also have the option to select templates. Now the default template will be, as it says, the default layout for your website, which if we go to our homepage, www.videosidekick.com, and we go to our sample page, then this is our default template, our content on the right, and our sidebar on the left with our menu at the top, and we have a footer here at the bottom. Now if we go back to our so we also have the option to create a full width page, which would remove the sidebars so that our content would take center stage, and there's also a contributor page. Now to be honest, I'm not quite familiar what this page does, but it's something you can test out. Different themes will give you different templates. This particular theme is a portfolio type theme, so it may have something to do with that. But like I said, depending on the theme that you're using, different templates will be listed here. And the best way to figure out what it does is just create a test page, select template, and see what happens. And if we are satisfied with our content, just one thing, I like to remove comments and trackbacks from my pages, but it's up to you. You can allow comments if you'd like, and we just go ahead and select publish. And again, our URL will include the name of our page, so it will be our main URL, wp-videosidekick.com/about-me. And again, you can edit this URL, you can view the page, or you can get a short link. And let's go ahead and view the page, and there you go, an About Me page, and the name of the page will be at the top, and our content. And if we go back to our home page, and visit our site, and again, because I'm logged in, it's not showing the update, so let me just go into another browser and head back over to our site. Okay, so I've refreshed the page, and just go to our home page, and what you will see here now is that our new page, our About Me page, has been added to our menu. Now, in most themes, this will be the default action. Once you add a new page, it will be added automatically to your main menu. Now, again, like I said, it depends on the theme, but in another video, I'll show you how to create custom menus so that we can control exactly what appears in your menu areas, because as you can imagine, not every single page you create you'd want to be displayed in your menu. For example, if you have a private page for members, or a download page for your product, you certainly wouldn't want that to be shown in your main navigation, and additionally, if you were to create a lot of pages, then your menu area would be quite jumbled. So in another video, I'll show you how to create custom videos. But for now, that's it for pages, and yeah, that's it for this video. In this video, we'll take a look at how we can add media to our posts and pages. And the first thing I want to do is introduce you to our media library. And of course, there's nothing in there because we haven't added any media, so we're just going to select Add New. And what the media library does is it stores all media that you upload directly to your WordPress site, and you can put media in here to either use in your posts and pages, or media to be downloaded by your users or visitors. So as you can see here, it says you can simply drop files here, drag and drop files, or select files, and below here it gives you a maximum upload file size of 8 megabytes. Now, if you have files that are larger than 8 megabytes, you'd have to use some alternative method of putting it on your site, such as FTP, or File Transfer Protocol. We'll take a look at that in a different video. But so now we're going to keep the files simple. So I have some files here on my desktop video, so I'll just drag that in. Also document, and I've dropped those two files, but let me just go back in so you can see that you can also select the files, and they're on my desktop. So I've already added the video and PDF, so I just want to add an image, and I think I got there. Have the PDF. Oh, there you go. So I actually added. So from here, from the screen, you have the option to do some editing. Now, let's start with the image. Now, if you select Edit, take it to another screen, and you can see our image. Now, I plan to use this image for our About Me page, and there are a couple of things that I need to take note of here. One of the things that happens when you upload the media to your media library is that an attachment page will be created. So if you click View Attachment Page, then there's a standalone page on WordPress that has your media. And in this case, it's an image, so it's being displayed. But for some of your media, such as a Word document, then what would happen is you just see a link. Excuse me, and if you select that link, you'll be able to download it. Go back to our edit page, and of course an image, so you have the option to add a caption, which would appear below the image. So if it's an About Me image, then you could just put my name, and the alternative text is really for search engine optimization. Search engines can't read images, they basically only read text. So because it doesn't know what your image is about, then this alternative text just lets the search engine know that this is an image of you, and basically just lets it know what the image is all about. And on the right hand side here, you just have some additional information about the image, the dimensions, but in this field here is a direct link to the image. Okay, so if you were to copy and paste in a new tab, then you would see our image. There you go. Okay, so this video is getting a bit long, so let me pause here and we'll pick up in another video. Okay, so here we are back with our image. Also, you should take into consideration that when you upload images to WordPress, you have to take note of the file size. Now, WordPress does do some optimization for you when you upload images, but you may want to use a plugin such as WP Smushit or some desktop software to reduce the size of your images, because large images, especially if you take an image, say, from your camera, will take long to load and they will slow down your site, and not to mention, well, some of them won't even fit on your site, and they can increase your hosting and bandwidth charges. Okay, so if we go back to our media library, and this time I want to take a look at video. So if we edit, now when you add videos to your site, WordPress will automatically try and embed them. So as you can see here, we had our image and we could see our image, and now we have our video and we can see our video, so we can just play our video. But other files such as, say, Word documents and zip files and all these other things that you put into WordPress, then you wouldn't be able to see them. You just basically get a link to download it. So the video is pretty similar. You have a description of the video here. You have your direct link to the video online. You have your attachment page, and you can also use a short link for that page. And let me just look at one more. Go back to our library. And let's look at a document. So again, of course, like I mentioned, with documents, you wouldn't be able to see a preview. You wouldn't be able to see the image. Basically, you'd use a direct link. And if you view the attachment page, what will happen is that you basically get a link, and if you click that link, then the document will start to download from your site. Okay, so that's basically it for the media library. Just like I said, just to keep in mind the upload size. In some cases, your hosting company may be able to increase the size so that you can upload larger documents, and that's basically it for our media library. Okay, so now that we're more familiar with the media library, then we can go ahead and add an image to our posts or pages. As I mentioned, I wanted to add the image to my About Me page. So if I just go back to Pages, select Edit Page, and then I'm going to select the area where I want to put the image. So I'll put my cursor right before the P, and I go to add media, and we do have a couple of options. Now, because we have media in a media library, you'll see all the media listed here, and this is the image. So all I simply have to do is click on this image and it will be added to my page. But there are a couple of other options. You can insert directly from a URL. So for example, if you have your image, if it's already online, if it's on Facebook or another site where you have your image hosted, then you can just simply put the URL to the image and then add a title and it would be inserted. You can also, if you go back to insert media, you can also upload the file. So if we didn't have any files or if we needed a new image, then you see this familiar interface where we can drop the files in or select the file from our desktop. So I'll cancel that because we already have the image that I need. So I'll just select the image, this handsome fellow here, and we have a couple of options. Now, it says about because that's the name of the image, so by default it will be titled whatever the image is named. I just want to change this, and since it's supposed to be an image of me, I put my name, and for the caption could use my name, and this will appear below the image. And as I mentioned, the alt text is just to tell search engines what the image is about, and you can add a description which is really for your purposes. And then you can go ahead and okay, let me go back. Not sure what happened there. Okay, let's start again. Add media. Select our image. And we have the option to align our image. Now, if we choose none, then the image will be placed wherever we have our cursor. And if you notice, I had some text on the page, so I want this image to appear to the left of the text. So I'll put that there, and we can also add a link to this image. So if I wanted to link to another page on my site or a page that's off my site, then I'll just simply put the image here. By default, the location of the image will appear in this tag, which and once we're finished, now in terms of size, it's just something I want to point out here. Right, because the image that I uploaded is so small, then it's the only size that you see here. But what WordPress does is, if you upload a large image, it will automatically create a couple of different sizes depending on how large your image is. And what you would have been able to do is select the particular size from this drop down list. But because, like I said, this image is so small, then it's the only one that I have available. So I can just select insert into page, and it's not doing what I wanted it to do. Okay, but no worries, we can go in and fix it. Just by clicking on the image, you'll see these two options. Now the icon on the right will delete the image, and the icon on the left will allow you to edit the image. So we go back to a screen that's similar to the one that we just used, and let me try to right align it. And you have the option excuse me, if this were a large image, to reduce the size, of course you can still reduce this image even though it's quite small. And if you notice to the right here, you can see a preview of how your image will look in your post. So I'm going to right align it. Of course you can center or left align. So I'm going to right align it and update. And it's still not quite doing what I want it to do. So, and this is how it is sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work out perfectly. Let me try putting my cursor here. And sometimes you do have to play around with it. You add image. Align left, insert into page. And there you go. That's more like what I wanted. Okay, so you see our image, it's aligned to the left of the text. You see our caption, which says my name, and we have successfully inserted an image into our page. In this video, I'll show you real quickly how to add a video to your site. And to do this, you just simply create a new post. Add new. This is called video. And chances are you'd want to say this is just a title for the video. Put your cursor where you want the video to go and simply add media. And if you remember, we had already uploaded a video to our media library, but you could also insert from a URL. So if you have your video hosted separately or independently on a site such as Amazon S3, you could just put the URL, and WordPress will pick up that it is a video file. For example, as long as the file has, let's say, a .mp4 or WMA or FLV, which is Flash, then it will detect it and automatically embed. But let's go back, and since we have this video here, then we have the option on the right here that says embed media player or link to media file. Now, if you link to media file, what you'd probably want to do is put an image, and then that image would link to the actual video. But we're just going to embed media file, select insert, and what has happened is that WordPress has created a shortcode for a video player, because what you have uploaded or online is a video, but to play the video on your site you need a video player. So WordPress has just created this video player for you, and you can see here it just has a shortcode for the video, the size of the video, 640 in width and 360 in height. This is the default, and you can change this if you'd like just by editing these numbers here, and you will see it is linking to the location of the video, which is on our site in the uploads folder, and it would do the same if the video was hosted anywhere else. And all you have to do now is click publish, and if we view the post, there you go. There is our video. There's the caption for our video. And if we select play, the video will play. And as you can see here, the video is centered in our post. And if you wanted a larger video, like I mentioned before, all you would have to do is go back and just edit these numbers here. So as you can see, I could make it a little wider. So if I made it 740 and made it a little higher, 460, and if we update, and it's taken a while, just because I'm using software to record this video, and it just slows down the processing speed of my computer. But if we can just go over now and view the post, and you will see our video has gotten a little larger. And that's how you embed what we call a self-hosted video. In the next video, I'll show you how to embed a video from YouTube or a similar site. In this video, I'll show you real quickly how to embed a video from YouTube on your site. The process is pretty similar if you are embedding videos from other sites such as Vimeo or Dailymotion or similar sites. But I'll just show you on YouTube so you get the gist of what we're doing. So first, I want to create a page. You can use a page or a post, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to create a page. And I'm just going to call it video. And we're just going to go over to YouTube. And once you've found the video that you want to embed, then you go down below the video where it says share and click the tab that says embed. Now there are two ways to do this, and the first way is by using an iframe, and that will be the default. And basically what an iframe is just basically placing an exact version of a video or text or page from another video onto your site. And once you've copied this code, and before you copy this code, let me just show you a few more things. Now, you'll see a box here that says show suggested videos when the video finishes. Now, I suggest that you untick this, because what will happen is that once your video is finished playing, it will show other videos from YouTube, and then people can get distracted from the content on your site and even go over to YouTube and leave your site. And that's not what you want. You want people to remain on your site and watch your videos. So I suggest you remove that, but it's totally up to you. You have the option. And there's another option that says use old embed code, and I'll get back to that. So for now, we have our iframe code, and we are just going to go back to our site. And in our WYSIWYG editor, whenever you're adding any bit of code to your site, you should go over to the tab that says text, and it's right beside the tab that says visual. So what is here is all code, and you just post that, and then you go back to the visual, and you will see basically an outline for where your video will be. You won't see the video until the poster page goes live. And what I'll do now is just put some space and just put another video, and I'll show you the other option that's available on YouTube for embedding videos. So if we go back over to YouTube and we select use old embed code, but before I do that, I'm just going to show you this option that says video size. You can do this with either the iframe or the old embed code, and based on the dimensions of your post or page area, you can determine how large you want the video to be. And of course, you can also do a custom size. Okay, so you'll be able to set the width and the height. So these are the standard sizes for video, and so what I'll do now is just go down to the old embed code, and what this is HTML code. So the first code was an iframe, and this code is HTML. Now, you may be asking me what's different, and why would I want to use HTML? Well, the simple answer is that the HTML code gives you more options. And you know what, let me select a bigger size video just so you can see the difference. What happens with the HTML code is that you can, from this code, manipulate it to do additional things like make the video autoplay and so on and so forth. So now that we have this code, we can go back over to our site, and again we have to go back over to the text mode, but let me just show you a little trick. Whenever I'm adding code, because when you get over to the text screen, it's a bunch of symbols, and if you're not really familiar with code, it can be a little confusing. So what I do is like to place a marker. So I just put a bunch of X's from the visual screen, and then I go over to text. And as you can see, there's a bunch of tags here, and this is all code. But if you look here, you see my X's. So what I do is just highlight the X's, and then I'll paste the HTML code. So my code will go exactly where I want it to go. And if we go back over to our visual, you see another video has been added. And of course, you can go ahead and do the other adjustments you want to your page, allow comments, etc. But I'm just going to go ahead and publish this page. And now we can go ahead and view the page. Okay, so the same video using two different methods for embedding the video from YouTube. And if we just go back and go to the text module. Now, if you wanted to change the dimensions of the video, you could just adjust the height and width. And like I said, with the HTML code, there's a lot more you could do than just adjusting the height and the width. But just remember, if you want to adjust the height and the width with the HTML version, the height and width are actually two places in the code, near the beginning and near the end. So that's just something to look for. And that's how easy it is to embed a video from YouTube.
In the next set of videos, we're going to take a look at configuring our site. Now, WordPress initially started out as a blogging platform, and by default you will see that your website is basically set up as a blog with all your posts on the home page of your site. But this is very easy to change, and it really is up to you whether you want to have your site as a straight blog, or you want to have a traditional website without posts, or have a combination of both. If we go to our home page, and I'm just looking at this site in a private browsing tab so that we don't see the additional information at the top to edit because we're logged in. And if we just go to our home page, you see all our posts listed on the front. Now by default, this is how your site will be set up with WordPress. And additionally, we've created some pages, and those are being displayed as well in our menu. Now, so if you want to achieve a blog only platform for your website, then basically what you have to do is not create pages and only create posts, or if you create pages, then you can use your custom menus to basically remove them from the navigation and then put links to your posts for specific pages that you want to reveal to your users. Or for example, if you only just want to have like an about me page or contact page. And if you also want to have a more traditional site where you have no posts, then what we do is to go into our dashboard and go to settings and go to reading. And you will see an option that says front page displays. Now, as you can see, the radio button has selected your latest posts. As we said before, this is the default, but you can put a static page, and where it says front page, then you can select one of the pages that you have already created. So in this case, I'm going to use our about me page. And if we wanted to have only pages on our site, we select save changes, go back to our home page, and of course this will be useful if you have, for example, a business site and you wanted to have a specific home page, a landing page, where you have something like a slider on the front of your services or the products that you offer, and then tabs with the links to other pages, etc. So if that's what you want to achieve, and if we just refresh, we'll see the changes. So here we are, we have an about me page which has now been used as our home page. So we are at the home page of our site, and the only other pages are the pages that we created. And of course you do have links to your posts in your sidebar, and this is easy to achieve, and we'll look at that when we start to look at widgets. But all you'd have to do is simply remove the recent posts from your sidebar, and your page would not have posts at all displayed anywhere. Now if you wanted to do a combination of both, where you still have a static page that whenever users come to your site, they land on that specific page, whether you want to show them your services or you want to build a mailing list or whatever it is, but you still want to have posts on your website, then what you do is to go ahead and create a new page, and for example you can call this page blog or news or updates, whatever it is that you want to call it, it's up to you. And you won't put any content on this page, and you simply publish that page. And if we go back to our settings and reading, then where it says posts page, then you would select that page from the list, so blog, and then you have some options here to say that your blog pages will show at most 10 posts, and you can edit this number if you'd like. I put 5, And the same for your syndication feeds, which are your RSS feeds. The amount of posts to show in those feeds at any one time, and you can select if for the articles in your feed if you want to show all the text or just a summary. And there's just one more option here, which speaks to search engine visibility, and this is if you want to basically keep your search private, then you can request that search engines not index it. Now, the search engines will decide whether or not they want to honor this request, so it's not foolproof. But basically, you know, if it is a public site, if you're trying to build your brand and your business, then you wouldn't want to tick this box. But there may be reasons why you would want to, in fact, tick this box to discourage search engines from indexing the site. So if we save the changes here, because what we're trying to achieve is a static front page, a landing page, and our blog posts on a separate page. And there's just one more thing we'd have to do under appearance. We have to go to menus, because of course we are using a custom menu for our site. So for that page that says blog to show up, we'd have to add it to our menu. So just like add to menu, and we can of course drag this page to wherever we want it in the order, and I'm just going to leave it at the end for now. And if we save the menu and we go back to our site and update and refresh, and whenever you make changes, just to make this point, whenever you make changes, whether you're making posts or changing options, you should always save or update. If we go back over to our site while that's being done, and if we refresh the page, then you will see that our home page is still showing this about me page, but now we have a page that says blog, and all our posts now appear on that page. So there you have it. That's how those are the options. So if you want a site that just only has pages, or if you want a site that only has posts, or if you want both, and that's exactly how you do it. In this video we will look at creating custom menus, and custom menus will really just allow you to really take full control of the navigation on your website. And to do this, we go to appearance and menus. And just one thing to note, that depending on the theme that you are using, then this menu may be slightly different. You may see additional options, you may see multiple areas for menus. It really does depend, but no matter the theme, the concept is pretty much the same. Okay, so if we just go back over to our site, you will see that, and let me just say that since the last video, I just went ahead, in preparation for this video, I went ahead and created another page and a few posts with under a new category called football for demonstration purposes. Okay, so if you see the site looking a little different, then that's what has happened. So by default, what has happened is that all the pages that we have been created have been added to our menu, and based on what I'm seeing here, they've just been added in alphabetical order. Now you can take full control of this. You can put the video page here in whatever order that you please in your menu, and you can also add categories to your menu. So if we go back over to our menu option, now what we need to do is give our menu a name. So
there are no custom menus in this theme. So we have the option to just type in a name here, or we can go ahead and create a new menu from the option here. And so we can just call this main menu, and this is just for our purposes to know what the menu is for. And we can just go ahead and select create menu. And to add items to our menu, then on the left hand side you'll see a list of all your pages. And well, we only have 4 pages, so but you would have had the option to view all and to search for specific pages if you had a lot of pages in your site. So I'm just going to select all these pages and select add to menu. Okay, so as you can see here now, all our pages are under our main menu. Now to move around the order of the pages, you simply put the cursor and you see this, the icon here appear, and whatever page or link is at the very top here would be the first that would be displayed on the menu. So if you wanted this to show last, then you would put it at the bottom, and so on and so forth. So another thing we can do is to have submenus. So if, for example, another page was a sub page for our sample page, to get it to show below our sample page as a drop down, we simply just drag it out to the right, and it will appear in our menu. So in our navigation, this will appear as the main page, but when we hover over it, another page will be shown just below it. Okay, and we can also add links, so it doesn't only have to be pages that we've created on our site. You can just also add a link. Say, for example, all you have to do is click on this drop down arrow, put the link. So say, for example, you had another website, or if you wanted to link to your Facebook page or your YouTube channel, and you just put the URL there and what you wanted the text to say. So I'll just say like us on Facebook, and then you can add to menu, and then from there you can again just drag and place this page wherever you want in the order. And I'm just going to stop this video here because it's getting a little long. And in the next video, I'll show you how to add categories to your menu. Okay, so to add a category to your menu, and this is, I mentioned before, if you have, say, a sports site, which is the example I used, and we have different kinds of sports, and you wanted to just have a link or a page with all the different types of sports and have it categorized, then what you do is that when you are creating a post, you put them in the respective categories. And like I said, I had created some posts with the category football, and I'll just select add to menu, and it's been added to our menu. And if you notice these drop down arrows beside each of the pages and links, you have additional options. So as you can see, the category of football has a common F there. I want to have a capital F just to maintain uniformity. And we have some additional options here where we could move this item one up. We can place it under another page, or we can move it to the very top. And we can also remove it completely from our custom menu. Okay, just one more thing I want to show you with our menu, custom menu, is that you can add a link that isn't clickable. And what do I mean by this? So for example, if you had services on your site, so you offer different services, but you didn't want to create a page that listed all the services, but in your menu you wanted to have a tab that said services, so that persons would go to that tab, and then when they hovered over it, the different services that you offered would be shown in the drop down menu. So what you would do here to accomplish that is to put the hashtag or the pound sign, and then you would put the text here that says services, add to menu, and say, for example, one of the services that you wanted to offer was video. So we drag the video below. Excuse me. And we would drag the video out to the right so that it would appear as a sub item of this page. And now once you have customized your menu to your liking, and you can always come back and change this at any time to add new pages, then the final set of settings is if you want to auto add pages. So in other words, it will ask if you want to automatically add new top level pages to this menu, and it's up to you if you want to use this. But if you're creating a custom menu, you may want to be careful about this option, because of course new pages would change the order of your menu. So I won't tick this. And then we have theme locations. So these are the locations for the menus within the theme, and there are two options here. You can see one that says top primary menu and another that says secondary menu in left sidebar. Now the menu that we have been viewing is the top primary menu, and if you don't know where a particular menu is, you could also always just click it and then check your site and see where the change is made, just to know exactly where it is. So I just want to make these changes. I put this custom menu to my top primary menu. So I'm just going to click save menu. Okay, so if we go back over now to our site and we just refresh, then you will see some changes have occurred with our menu. All the items are being displayed exactly how we had them from our custom menu. So about me page is first, our like us page, and this should link to Facebook as we had set up. And if we go back over, then here we have a drop down page, which is our another page under our sample page. We have our football page, and if we click on this page, then all our posts that fall under the category of football will be shown on this page. And last but not least, for services, if you clicked on it, as you see I'm clicking here, then it will go nowhere, but once we hover over it, then the video page will be displayed, and if we click on video, then it will take us to that page. Okay, so that is how custom menus work.
In this video, we will go through the other options that are available under our settings menu. Now, you may want to do this at the very beginning when you set up your site. Now, I've chosen to do this after we've created some content so that you can see the difference, once you have changed some of these settings. And we just start with the general. As you can see, it's your site title. This would have been set up when you install WordPress. And then you can have a tagline. And okay, so if we go back to our main site, you will see that's going to change the information here, which is the name of the site. And you see it says just another WordPress site. Of course, you don't want your site to say that. And so that tagline will change that. For your WordPress address URL, and if you just basically read what it says here, is enter just here if you want your site homepage to be different from the directory you install WordPress. So if you want to go ahead and change, I really don't suggest that you mess about with this unless you know what you're doing. Okay, and just some more options to change, which are your contact email address, membership, anyone can register, it's totally up to you. The time zone, and this will of course affect your posts. Whenever you make posts, then there's usually a timestamp as to when the posts have been created, and also when there are comments made on your site, and just other general information that may be affected by time. You can just customize this, enter your time zone, the date format, time, and the day that the week starts on. Okay, and remember to save changes. And just remember, not all of these settings you'll be able to see the immediate effect of. If we go back to our home page and we refresh, now you will see that now it says WP Video Sidekick, how to become a WP Pro. And just keep in mind that if you use something like a header or a logo, then in some themes that information may be removed, or you may have the option to keep the text as an overlay on your logo or header. So the setting here is writing, and most of these are self-explanatory. So we just go through formatting, convert emoticons to graphics. So if you use your colons, if you want to create smiley faces, instead of them showing like this, they will show like real graphical smiley faces. And I'm just going to quickly go through these. Default post category. So if you wanted to change the default category so that, say for example, if most of my posts were going to be about football, and I could change this, so instead of having to change it each time I create a post, then that will be the case. And the same goes for the post format. If you have a video blogger, for example, and most of your posts are going to be video, you could set the standard post format to video. Alright, and there's an option here called press this, and basically it just allows you to grab text, images, etc. from surfing the web to help you if you wanted to publish as posts on your sites. And then there is the post for your email if you wanted to create those post via email, then you'd have to set up an account, and the instructions are there, you can follow it. Update services. When you publish a new post, WordPress automatically notifies the following site update services. Now, for exposure, this is great. Basically, your posts, etc., will go through Ping-O-Matic, rpc.ping-o-matic, and this just notifies of the sites, the search engines, that you have new content, and it helps to get your posts and pages indexed in search engines and builds exposure for your site. Okay, and okay, I'm going to stop here and pick up in another video. Okay, the next set of settings. Okay, we already looked at the reading settings, so we can go ahead and take a look at the discussion settings, because we looked at the reading settings when we were looking at configuring our blog as a static site or a blog. Okay, so for default article settings under discussion, this controls basically comments and trackbacks and spam on your site. So you should pay attention to this if you're going to allow comments on your site. Attempt to notify any blogs linked from the article, and basically if you link to a site, another site, when you make posts or pages, then WordPress will basically notify these sites. It's basically self-explanatory. We want to allow link notifications from other blogs, it's pingbacks and trackbacks. And basically what will happen is if other websites link to your site, then you would receive a notification similar to when a comment is left, and if you accept the pingbacks or trackbacks, then this will be displayed on the particular post or page that has been linked to say that another site has linked to it. And basically you can, this next option, allow people to post comments on new articles. If you untick this box, then basically you are disallowing comments on your website. And it does say that these settings may be overridden for individual articles. So you could set it generally here, but for specific articles you could change this. And basically you can just go through these. Comment author must fill out name and email, which you want to do. Users must be registered and logged into comment. Automatically close comments on articles after 14 days. You can change the amount of time for this. Enable threaded nested comments. And this will basically affect whether your comments on your site, if you have a lot of comments, will for example, if persons respond to other comments, just how many levels they can go. Break comments into pages. So if you have a lot of comments, if you can set an amount that will be displayed on each page so that your comments will go on into infinity on one page. They will be broken up into separate pages. And then you can display the order for comments, whether older comments or newer comments are shown first. And you can opt to receive a notification whenever anyone posts a comment. And if you get a lot of comments on your site, I will warn you, you will get a lot of notifications. But if you want to control spam, then it's something you will have to look into. And the next option is to comment. Email me whenever a comment is held for moderation. And before a comment appears, comment must be manually approved. Comment author must have a previous approved comment. Now you really have the option to just customize these, allow, disallow. Hold a comment in the queue if it contains 2 or more links. So generally a lot of persons will place comments on your site to get backlinks to their site. And now usually they have an option to place a website when they enter their name and email, and that will create a link. But additionally they may put links into their comments, and personally, I put this to 0, so any links at all. I just don't want people to be linking to anywhere from my site. It can be bad for SEO, and you leave yourself open to a lot of spam. And the comment blacklist, if you find that you have a particular set of emails, IPs, URLs, usernames that are spamming your site, you can just put a list there, and WordPress will automatically block those. And for avatars, you can set the settings whether you want to show avatars, and the rating for avatars, and the default icon if the person does not have an avatar. And just remember to save the changes if you make any. And we've already covered media permalinks, so media is the next one that we would look at. And basically you can, the WordPress thumbnail size, I mentioned earlier that when you upload images, especially larger images, WordPress will create multiple sizes, and these are the default sizes. And you can change this, but I mean really, unless you have specific reasons to do this and you know what you're doing, then you probably don't want to change this. So that's it for the settings. Like I said, you can do this at the very beginning before you start to build content on your site, but I purposely built the site first so that whatever changes were made, you'll be able to see them once you made adjustments to your settings. So that's it for the settings. Okay, so in this video I'm going to cover how we can change the theme on our website. And basically themes control the overall look, the appearance of our website. And so the header, the sidebars, the graphics, all these things, the fonts. And some themes add additional functionality to your site, and it's quite easy to change it. So if we go back to our dashboard, and to do this, to change it, we go to appearance and themes, and there are a couple of ways that we can change our theme. Now, we select add new, and we basically have some settings here as a search function, and this applies to the WordPress repository. Now, at wordpress.org there are thousands, literally thousands, of themes that are available for free for you to download. So you can, if you know the name of the theme that you're looking for, or a specific, say if you're looking for a theme that is responsive, you could type that there. And also you can filter out the search results by looking for themes with specific colors, number of columns, layout, features, subject. Okay, so, and you can also go ahead and check the featured themes, and you can look at themes based on the newest themes, or themes that have been recently updated. Okay, so if I'm just going to go to the newest, and all the themes that you will select from this repository are open source, GPL, under a GPL license, so you are free to use them and do basically whatever you want with them. And this is one of the safest places to get themes. Unfortunately, there are people out there who give away free themes with the intention of adding malicious code, viruses, etc. to your site. But all the themes that have been uploaded to the WordPress repository have been checked, and they have to go through a rigorous, set of qualifications before they can get there. So you can feel pretty safe downloading themes from there. So just keep in mind that if you go and say you search in Google and you look for free themes, that you have to be very careful as to who you get these themes from. Just ensure that they're a trusted theme developer, and you're not putting malicious code on your website. Okay, so I'm just going to pick a random theme here just to show you what it would look like, and you'll just get kind of a preview here of what the theme will look like on your site. And you can just select install. And then you have the option to look at a live preview with your current content. And you also have, and this is something that we can look at into more detail. To customize your site, you can just very quickly from here to change some of this information that we saw in our settings, and our navigation. So you could change the menu that you use if you had more than one custom menu, and your static front page, etc. Okay, now we can just activate this theme, and if we go back to our home page and we refresh, then we will see that the look and feel of our site has totally changed. And that's how easy it is to install a theme from the repository. In the next video, I'll show you how you can also install a theme from zip files. And this, of course, is if you purchase a theme, or even if you get a free theme and you download it, then I'll show you how you can do this as well. Okay, so now we can look at installing a theme from zip files, and the process is similar. If we go back to Appearance, Themes, Add New, and then we would select Upload, and as you can see, there's just a little message that says install a theme in zip format. Okay, so it has to be in a zip format. So wherever you get your theme from, whether you've paid for it or it's free, then it needs to be in a zip format. And what will happen is that WordPress will unzip it. Now, if you're not familiar with zipping, it just means that the files are compressed, and that just makes it easier to upload to your site, makes it faster, and then WordPress will automatically unzip it and install the file. So I'm just going to go ahead and we'll choose our file, and you'll be able to select it from your hard drive, and then just select install now. And then you just have the message that says theme installed successfully, and again you can do a live preview. We can just go ahead and activate it. And you just have some information here from the theme author, and this will change depending on the type of theme or where you get your theme from. And if we just go back now to our site and refresh, then again you will see that the complete look of our site has changed. And this particular theme has, this is a premium theme, and it does come with some additional features. It has a custom homepage, etc. And I'm not going to get into the customization of the theme, but just to show you that there are some themes, in particular premium themes, that, as you can see, our website now basically looks, bare bones. You're just seeing, because some additional configuration needs to be done. So we just basically would have just gone through the options. It comes with a customized homepage, with specific settings, a featured area, etc., etc. So that's something you would have to go ahead and do. But just for the purpose of this video, I just wanted to show you how easy it was to install the theme through zip files. Okay, so just a quick follow-up to the last video. Whenever we install themes, then to go ahead and customize them, you just have to go back to Appearance and Themes, and usually there will be a link right here that says Customize. And what this option allows you to do is actually to change the information here, and you will see a live preview on the right hand side. So if we were to change this to and you would see it change here. So let me change it back. And so on. So you can change things like the site title. It may differ slightly depending on the particular theme, and that's why I said I didn't want to get into a video about theme settings, because it can vary so much depending on the theme that you're using. You see, this particular theme has 3 different sections for a menu. So you could put your menu in the top bar, the header, or the footer, and then it has the options for the static front page. Okay, but we don't want to change any of this. But if we just go back, then another way that you can access the same option is to go to Appearance and then Customize. And you'll be able to do the same. Now, some themes will have some additional options. We close this. That may not be available from that screen. And to access it, usually you would see the name of the theme somewhere along the left hand side, or theme or a tab that says theme options. So in this case, this theme, even though it's called Business Canvas, it's from the Chimera themes. That's the name of the developer. So you'll be able to access additional theme options. Which you wouldn't have been able to access in the previous page, because, for example, this has a custom home page, and you'd just be able to make changes there. And additionally, sometimes you may find it under the Settings tab. You may find the theme settings directly under the Settings tab under the drop-down menu. So that's just a quick video just to inform you. Oh, and just one more thing. In some themes, once you activate the theme, you will have to go in and adjust your menus, your custom menus.
depending on the theme, and to adjust the location of your menu. Okay. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is look at how we can install plugins on our site. And I'll just go, to do this, we go to plugins. And plugins are additional bits of code or software that just extend the functionality of our site. You can do anything from adding a support desk to adding social media. There are video plugins, just about anything that you can think of, there's a plugin for it. And there are some default plugins that would be installed, and just as there were default themes that were installed. And Akismet is just an anti-spam plugin. It's free for basic blog. So if you do allow comments on the site, this may be something that you'd be interested in. Hello Dolly is another plugin that comes pre-installed. Usually I don't use these, however, I have other options that I use for anti-spam. So, and it's a good practice that if you're not using plugins on your site, that you delete them, because they can conflict with each other and cause your site to do some crazy stuff or slow down the processing time of your site. So if you find lags, and of course there are security issues if you're not using a plugin, then you may not update it as regularly as you should because you're not using it. But even if the plugin is not being used, it still may present some vulnerability issues. So if you're not using a plugin, I just advise that you just go ahead and delete it, and all you have to do is just select and delete and apply. Okay? But to add a new plugin, it's really quite simple. It's very similar to adding themes, and you just select add new, and we will see a similar search button that will just allow you to search for the particular plugin. So like I said, there are so many things. If you need a Facebook plugin to help share your posts and pages, there are plugins for WordPress, which is a social media functionality that you can add to for email, for images, for sidebars, shortcodes, YouTube. There's so many options. These are some of the more popular categories, so if you need something in particular, you just go ahead and say you want to have a dig plugin to help share your posts. Then you just type that in, and you will be presented with a list of plugins. The wonderful thing about this is that the plugins will have ratings beside them, which other WordPress users have used too. So these plugins with the darker stars, have received great reviews from other users. And all you'd have to do is you can check out, this is a brief description of the plugin, and all you have to do is just select install now and just confirm that you want to install the plugin, and it really is as simple as that, and the plugin will be installed. And depending on the plugin and what it does, then you'll be presented with some options. And this is of course after you activate the plugin, because you can have plugin installed and not activated. So pardon me, if you just activate it, then usually there will be a link back to the plugin site, so you could find out more about the plugin, and this will link back to either WordPress.org or individual website. And similar to the theme, then there'll be an option on the left hand side for you to configure the plugin if there are settings, and sometimes these options may appear under the settings, so it really does vary depending on what the plugin does. Okay, so in the next video I'll show you how to install a plugin from a zip file. In the last video we looked at adding plugins to our site from the WordPress repository, and another way that we can add plugins is from a zip file. So if you have a premium plugin, or if you downloaded a plugin from anywhere other than the repository and you have it in a zip file, then you would just go plugins, add new, and go to upload. Choose file, and then you would just locate it wherever it is on your PC or your Mac, and I have this plugin on my desktop, WP Options, and I will just install. And then again, like I said, whenever the plugin is installed, you will have the option to activate, and then from there you can configure the additional settings if there are any. Right, so once that is done, the uploading of the plugin, you can just activate your plugin, and this particular plugin actually asks for a license key. You get the gist of how it is to add a plugin. I'm not going to add my license key in this video, of course. And so, like I said, this would fall under the additional configuration or settings once you've activated the plugin. But that's just how simple it is. If you have a plugin from a zip folder, and based on the plugin, you'd know what to do next. So that's how you get it into your site. Now we will take a look at widgets, and essentially what widgets are additional areas outside of our main content area, such as on our poster page, and it allows us to put additional content or functionality in these areas. Now, the most popular areas for widgets are the sidebar, so there's recent posts, recent comments, archives. Categories are in fact widgets, and the footer area is another popular area for widgets, and sometimes you can find widgets in our header area, and it really does depend on the theme that you are using, or sometimes a plugin can add additional widget areas. Now, to change this, just go back to our admin area, go to appearance and select widgets, and on the left hand side we will see a list of the available widgets, and on the right hand side you'll see the areas where you can put these widgets. So if you remember, on our main site we had our search function, or recent posts, recent comments, archives, categories, and metadata. Okay, so this particular theme has 1, 2, 3 areas that we can place widgets: the primary sidebar, content sidebar, and the footer widget area. Now, to add a widget to any of these areas, we can simply drag
the widget from the available widget section and drop it in the area where we want the widget to go. And once we do that, we will see some additional options depending on the widget to customize that widget, such as we can add a title, and in this case for the calendar, that's basically all that we can do. And then we would save it, and we can close that. And to just edit the settings of any of these widgets, just simply select this drop down arrow, and you, of course, you see the option to delete the widget, so you can remove the widget from the area. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to delete this widget. I am going to remove the archives widget, the metadata widget, the categories widget, and I want to add a custom menu widget. And the popular widgets will appear here are your archives, your calendar, your custom menu, pages, and they're pretty self-explanatory, and they have a bit of blurb below them to tell you what it's about. And these are default. They come with pretty much every theme that you have, but some themes will have additional widget options, and depending on some of the plugins that you may have installed, you will see additional widgets or options for your widgets. Okay, and like I said, a description will be displayed below these widgets. And another way that you can add a widget, let me just say that, is to click on the widget, because sometimes dragging and dropping the widget into your widget area, for example, let me cancel this. If you had a long list of widgets and you're at the very bottom here, and you have to drag this widget, and you have to scroll up to the top to find, say, this widget area, then it can be sort of a pain. So if you click on the widget, then you will just see an option as to where you can put the widget. So for example, if I wanted to put a custom menu in the footer widget area, then I just hover over it, select it, and then add widget, and the widget would go inside that area. And then I could just go in, select the menu. In this case, I only have one menu, so I just save there. And to change the order of your widgets, you can just simply hover over it until you see this icon appear that looks like a cross, and you can just drag and drop, and that's really how easy it is to change around the order of your widgets. And at the very bottom you'll see an area that says inactive widgets. Now widgets will appear here if you put them there for one. So for example, if you have a particular widget that you have configured and you don't want to use it, you can place it in your inactive widget, but you don't necessarily want to delete it because you may want to use it in the future. So you can put it under inactive widgets. Also, sometimes widgets will appear in the inactive widgets area if, for example, you change your theme and the new theme doesn't have a sidebar or widget area similar to the previous theme, and so WordPress doesn't know exactly where to put the widget based on the old configurations into your new theme. So it may just place those widgets in the inactive widgets. So the last thing is just to save, and then we can go over to our site and we can look at the changes. So if we just refresh our site, and you will see that our metadata has been removed, and we have added our custom menu on the left sidebar as well as in the footer area. Now, of course, this doesn't look as nice as I'd want it to, but it's just something for you to test out and drag and drop and chop and change until you're satisfied with how these widgets are displayed on your site. Okay. In this video, I just want to look at users and how we can edit user profiles, how we can create new users, and some of the functionalities that are available to users. Now, if you look in the top right hand corner, you will see Howdy D850, and this is just a name that I've assigned to the user, that level that I am logged in as, which is an admin user, and I can go in and edit my profile. And in this area, I'll be able to do things like disable the visual editor when writing. I can change the color scheme. Right now it's using default, but I could go ahead and select something like coffee, and you will see that the color scheme has changed. Let me put it back to the default. You can enable keyboard shortcuts for comment moderation, show toolbar when viewing sites, and this is what happens when we're currently logged in. That's that bar that appears at the very top that I spoke about. And in this area you can just add some additional information, and this information will affect your author information when you create posts. So if I put my name there, and then I can create a nickname, Johnny, or I can put Jack, and then I'll have the option to display a name publicly that may be separate or different or a shortened version of my full name. So for example, I could put Jack for my posts and pages, or I could put my full name, John Brown, and we can also change our contact information here, put a link back to our website, some additional bio information, and in this area we can also go ahead and change our password that we use to log in. And all you simply have to do is just put in a new password, repeat the new password, and then update the profile. Now the next thing I want to look at, and if you just look at the top here, you will see that now it is saying John Brown instead of DHVPS, which was showing before, because this is what I've selected to show as my public name. But the next thing we want to look at is under the users tab. You see users. We can view all the users that are on our site, and you can see there's only one, which is me. And you can just see the role, which is administrator. And if we go to add new, we can add additional users based on the levels. Now, let me just give you an idea of what the particular, of course you would put the username, email, first name, last name, etc. and create a password. But what's actually most important is the role of this user. Okay, so at the very highest, which is the administrator, let me start with that one. And the administrator can do everything on the website. They can add posts, pages, edit posts and pages, and change additional functionality, change themes, plugins, and like I said, do just about everything. An editor would not have access to change plugins and themes and other such functionality, but they would be able to add content such as posts and pages and edit the content of other users. Okay, An author would be able to add content, such as posts, but would only be able to edit that content that they have created. So they wouldn't be able to edit other authors' content. An editor could do that, but not an author. A contributor would be able to create content. So a contributor could create a post. So for example, if you have a guest blogger who you allow to create a blog post on your site, they'll be able to create the post, but the post would remain unpublished until either an editor or an administrator approves it. And last but not least is the role of a subscriber, and the subscriber is basically only able to view content that has been created on your site. Okay? A subscriber would not be able to create content or edit content. They'd just be able to view. Okay? So, depending on the type of site you're running, you may want to have multiple authors to create content on your site. You may want an additional administrator to do maintenance and updates. Or if you just have, say, a membership site, you'd want to allow subscribers to be able to access your content. Okay, and that's it for users. In the next set of videos, I just want to quickly take a look at the security issue. And let me first of all say that WordPress itself, as in the software, is inherently safe. And when you have a WordPress site, it's not that it's more prone to being hacked than any other type of CMS. But the reality is that it's because of the popularity of WordPress and its growth and the fact that it powers so many millions of sites on the internet, then what you find is that there are a lot of instances of security breaches and hacks. But again, like I said, it's not to say that WordPress gets hacked more than any other CMS such as Drupal or Joomla. In fact, many people argue that WordPress is in fact a lot safer than these other platforms. But the reality is that just based on the mere popularity, because the reality is that it's unlikely that a hacker is going to hack a site that is not popular. It's very unlikely. So a couple of things that you have to look out for to keep your site secure are as follows. The first thing I recommend is that you have WordPress installed manually. Now, your hosting account, especially if you have cPanel, will most likely come with an automatic installer, such as Fantastica Deluxe, Softaculous, and Auto Installer, and similar software services. Now, it's not that these installers are insecure, but the way that they install WordPress is very predictable. And what happens is that hackers are aware of the way that they in fact install. So things like using a default username such as admin, using basic names for your WordPress database when you're using, for example, and this is a little technical, and don't worry about it if you don't quite understand. But WordPress uses databases, MySQL database to be exact, and usually these are created automatically in your cPanel. And the reality is that a lot of these auto installers just create something in the database name, like such as database 01 or database 02, and so on in that order. And things like that, it's very easy to, once it's predictable, hackers basically have a head start in terms of doing abuse to your site. So even if you do use auto installers, because some of them, I know, for example, Softaculous does allow you to change the username, the default username, and some other fields. So the more unique you can make your installation, which is what a manual installation does, is the better off you will be. And the reality is that even if you do use an auto installer or have used an auto installer, there are still ways to keep your site secure. But it's just that my recommendation, and personally how I install WordPress, is to always start with a manual installation. Okay? So we'll just cover a couple of other things that you should be aware of in the next set of videos. The next thing that I want to look at when we look at securing your website is the use of your passwords. Of course, every time you log into the back end of your site, going through your admin area, you need to use a password. Now, you need to ensure that your passwords are unique. So, for example, I especially discourage you from using the same password that you use for your WordPress login to be the same password that you use for your hosting account, the same password that you use for email. Because let's face it, the reality is that we don't like to have to remember a million different passwords. It's very difficult. We choose passwords for things that are easy to remember. And so we tend to reuse these passwords. But the reality is that if someone finds out the password for your email and you use one password for all your logins, then what will happen is that now they have access to your email, they have access to your site, they have access to your hosting, and that creates a lot of issues. So we really have to, of course, avoid using the same password for multiple logins, and also you have to ensure that you use unique and difficult passwords that are easy to guess. So you want to avoid using passwords like the name of your dog, or your middle name, or your street address, or your children's birth date, things like that. You really need to avoid using passwords like that, because those are easy to guess, and hackers will. You have to understand that security does start with you, and you have to be responsible for your passwords, and you have to also be careful about who you share your passwords with. And another thing is that you should update your passwords, change them fairly regularly, every 3 months or something like that. And I know you must be saying to yourself, how can I possibly, remember all these passwords and create unique passwords, without writing them down, and now I have the issue where I've written down the passwords, and if somebody gets to that, bit of paper or spreadsheet, wherever you've gotten the passwords recorded, then now they have access to all your information. Well, one solution that I personally use is called LastPass, and you may have seen me using it throughout this video course, where it installs right inside your browser, and it's compatible with most of the major browsers. I'm using Google Chrome, and I have it installed now, and basically what it does is that once you have an account, and it's free to use, there is a premium version, but chances are you may not need to use it. But there are some great additional features, and I'm not making any money by recommending this. It's just something I use for myself, and what essentially happens is that each time you log in, and you may be familiar with this because most browsers will try to do this, where once you log in to your email or any other site that you requires a username and a password, then your browser will ask you to save this information. I don't recommend at all that you use your browsers, because there are a lot of, apart from the individual conditionalities of using different browsers and their terms and all that stuff, the reality is that if you go to a computer that is not yours, then you don't have access to all these passwords. And the great thing about LastPass is that you can easily install it and uninstall it, from to any browser, and you can set up security and fail-safe, so that once you log in, so for example, if you were to use a friend's computer and forget to log out, you can set it up that once you log in to your computer, then the previous access will be logged out. So things like that. So like I said, it is free. It's a wonderful tool, and as you can see here, if you look at this login screen, you see a number 2 here. So I have 2 logins for this particular for this particular site. So if I just click on the symbol there, then I can easily just select the user that I want to use, and it will enter the username and password, and I can just log in. So I never have to enter a password, and this is particularly useful if you're logging in outside of your home, which I really don't recommend. Let me just log back out. I really don't recommend that you use free Wi-Fi to log into important areas like your website. It is prone, you don't know who else is on the network, you're prone to being hijacked. Persons could be just looking over your shoulder, looking at your passwords. A great thing about this is that you don't have to type in the password. The only password you have to remember is the LastPass password. So you just have to remember one very secure password, and LastPass will do the rest. And it also has a lot of other great features, such as it can store other information that you may need to fill out forms. So if you sign up for a lot of stuff online, it's great for that. So I do recommend it. And like I said, it's free. And there's a premium version, and one of the features of the premium version is that if you have outsourcers and you need them to work on your site, then you don't have to give them the password to your site. You can set them up as a user, share the password, they'll be able to log in using the LastPass, but not actually have to get the password. And then of course it's very easy to just change your passwords afterwards anyway. And another great thing that LastPass does is it generates secure passwords. So you never need to use a password like your dog's name or your children's birth dates. It's just really secure passwords. So I really recommend that you check that tool out. The next thing that you always want to do, and I've mentioned this before, in previous videos, is to always update. Pay attention to your updates, whether it be, of course, unfortunately I don't have any updates here to show you, but whenever you see this area update pops up, whether it be to update WordPress itself, plugins, themes, you should always try and do it as quickly as possible. The great thing about WordPress is that it has a wonderful community of users and developers who create fantastic plugins and themes and are continually testing the WordPress software itself. So any vulnerabilities or breaches are usually picked up pretty quickly, and the fixes are normally presented in updates, whether it be for WordPress itself or for a particular plugin or for a particular theme. And the great thing is that most of these updates are one click in. You just need to click the update button and you're safe, because what happens is that if you don't update your plugins, your themes or WordPress, then what happens is that these vulnerabilities are known to hackers, and once they determine that you have an old version of a theme or a plugin, then they know exactly how to get into your site. So just pay attention to updates. And another thing for you to always, do is whenever you are not using a particular plugin or a theme, make sure you deactivate it, and not only just deactivate it, but delete it. If you're not using it, then remove it from your site, because there's still the possibility of there being vulnerabilities even if you're not using it. So just try and always keep your site up to date and only use what you need to use, because the reality is we are talking about software, and software will have bugs from time to time. It's just a part of how software is, and particularly with WordPress and all the different plugins and theme developers. A lot of these people are independent of the core persons who create WordPress itself, so you can have clashes. And like I said, this isn't unique to WordPress, but the great thing about it's actually a plus, is that usually vulnerabilities are identified pretty quickly and can be fixed with an update. So always try and keep your site up to date. Something else that's really important when in ensuring that your site is kept safe is to, generally speaking, avoid downloading themes and plugins that are being offered for free that are otherwise premium themes and plugins. I know you may go to Google and you may see, links to sites that, that are offering you free downloads for like I said, plugins and themes that, basically the developers are selling. And you have to be careful. Now, I'm not saying that they're all bad, but one of the reasons that, people do this, and it's not necessarily illegal either, depending on the license for the particular plugin or theme, but one of the reasons that people give away themes, and if you think about it, if it's a paid plugin or a theme, why is this person giving it away for free? And one of the reasons that they do this is to, implant malicious code onto your site. And in some cases, it may be as harmless as hiding a backlink to one of their sites. But it could also be backlinks to sites that, such as porn or sites with illegal downloads that, would not do well for your search engine optimization. So you have to be careful of that. And then it could be as extreme as code that tracks your keystrokes and records your password, and then later on you try to log into your site and it's been taken over completely by a hacker. So that's something you have to be careful of. Okay, and the last thing I want to talk about in terms of, securing your site is that, you should always keep regular backups of your WordPress site, and that's your database, your files. Keep regular backups. If you use your site pretty regularly in terms of updating content, then you may need to update it as frequently as every day. Usually once a week would be fine for most people, but it really is up to you depending on how often you use your site. Because like I've mentioned a lot of things that you can do to protect your site, but the reality is that there's no foolproof method for any platform, and WordPress is no exception, for persons to hack into your site. If they're determined enough, if they have enough resources, you see sites, some big name sites online get hacked all the time. Government sites, and these sites will have far better security measures than you probably would have on your site, and these sites have been hacked. So a great thing to have is a good backup of your site that you can restore, so that as soon as you find that your site is down, you can get in contact with your hosting company, or just erase all the malicious code, change your password, and then you can install a clean version of your site, but something that's up to date, so that you don't lose a lot of your content that you've worked so hard to create. So in the next video, I'm actually going to look at and show you, there are many ways to do this, many plugins. You can do this through your hosting account, but I'm just going to show you one quick way to do it in the next video. In this video, we are going to use a free plugin called WP Up to back up our site. And to do this, we just select plugin and add new, and we search for back WP Up, search plugins, and it should be the first one there, back WP Up free WordPress backup plugin. And we're going to use this plugin to back up to Dropbox. Dropbox is a free cloud storage service. And the reason we want to back up to Dropbox is, well, really two reasons. Number one is that Dropbox, when we back up to Dropbox, it's on its own separate server. Because sometimes when your site gets hacked, if your site is down, maybe an attack on your entire server and not just your site. So if you're backing up to, and if we just activate the plugin, and if you're backing up to your own server and your server goes down, then you'd be in big trouble because you've lost your site and you've lost your backups. The second reason why I like to back up to Dropbox is that Dropbox has a desktop app that allows you to synchronize whatever you have in their cloud storage platform straight to your PC. So you'll have it backed up online, and you have it backed up on your PC. And there is a free option with Dropbox. You get up to 2 GB free, and there is also the option to upgrade, and you can also increase the storage, your free storage, by referring friends. And I'll just give you a link where you can sign up and get some free storage just for signing up through that link, apart from the 2 GB. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and start to use back WP Up. And the first thing we want to do is select jobs. And then we are going to just click jobs. And then we're going to add a new job. And the first tab we have is the General tab. So you want to name the job for your purposes. I'm just going to call this My Backup. Then the next thing is the job tasks, and this is just where you determine what you back up, and the defaults are fine, your database of files, and the installed plugins list. And the next thing we look at is the archive name, which just creates a timestamp. This default is fine, you don't need to adjust this. The next thing is the archive formats, and this is just the method of compression so that your backups will be faster, because as you can imagine, you're backing up your entire site, so you can use a zip, a tar zip, or a tar bzip2. Now the default is fine, so you can just leave it as is. And the next thing that we would look at is the job destination, and this is, of course, where you would
send the backup to, and you can backup to a folder, backups by email, backup to FTP. As I mentioned, we're going to backup to Dropbox for reasons that I mentioned before, but you can also send to email, Amazon S3, SugarSync, all the other options are there. And you can use more than one option, but I prefer just to use Dropbox to keep it simple. And email, the next thing is our log files, and email is required, and you'll just receive an email if there are errors during job execution. Okay, so this just is to ensure that everything goes okay. The next thing that we would look at is the schedule tab. We just go back up, and you want to select with WordPress cron, and this just uses a feature within your hosting account to utilize automatic backups. Next thing is the type. You want to select basic, and then now you have the scheduler. So you have the option to backup daily, hourly, weekly, monthly. Now, weekly will be fine for most people, and this really is up to you, depending on how often you update your site. And if you really require daily or hourly backups, as in you need to backup that often because you're adding content that often, then you may actually need to look at a premium option. Now, on the weekly and the time, you see the 3 for the hour just means 3 a.m. and you can do it at 3:25 or 3:30, whatever it is. I find that Sunday at this time, 3 a.m. in the morning is a good time. You probably don't have a lot of visitors on your site. And just one thing to note is that if you use this plugin for a lot of your sites, then you want to stagger the backup times so that you don't overload your server. So the next tab is our database backup. And these are the WordPress tables that are included. You really don't need to change this at all. So we can move on to our next tab, which is our files. And here you can determine what files you include or exclude. Again, the default is fine. But for example, you may want to exclude themes from your backups, because you should be easily able to restore your themes either from the repository, or if you bought a theme, you should be able to get the download back pretty easily. One thing you may choose to do is just maybe back up the current theme that you're using. Okay, so the next tab that we look at is the plugins tab. And this just creates a file with the names of all your plugins and whether or not they were activated. And this will just take the name of your site. And in terms of file compression, you can leave it at none, because it just creates a small text file with a list of plugins. So we can next look at the Dropbox tab. And this is specific because we chose to use Dropbox. So if I just jump over to Dropbox, and I'm just going to go over and log in. And like I said, Dropbox is absolutely free. So I'm going to log in, because we will need to authenticate with Dropbox using their API to ensure that this process works seamlessly. So we're going to use re-authenticate full Dropbox. We're not going to use the sandbox option. We're going to use the full Dropbox option. And just for the backup settings, the folder that will be used in Dropbox is WP Video Sidekick. That's defaulted based on the name. The file deletion. Okay, this allows you to choose a number of files that you keep in the folder. Now, by default, it is 15. And since I'm updating weekly, this means that I have 15 weeks of backups inside my folder. Now, I don't need this many backups, because You know, if your site goes down, you probably know in a couple of days or a couple of weeks. So I will choose a number like 4, which means I'll have 4 weeks, which is a full month of backups. But it really is up to you. You can choose how many backups that you need. Just keep in mind that all the backups will be deleted once you reach this number. So we can go ahead now and authenticate. And this will take us over to the Dropbox site. And since I'm already logged in, I will see the screen. And we just need to click allow to authenticate. And if you weren't logged in, you'd be asked to log in, and then you could click allow. So once you see the sign that says authenticated, then we're pretty much finished. You want to save all your changes. Make sure you save all your changes. And the next thing you want to do is to do a run now to test it, to make sure that everything works. And this shouldn't take long, so I'm just going to run it right now. Right now our site is quite small, so it shouldn't take much time. And you will see where the plugin is getting to work, and what's happening is that it is copying our sites based on the specifications that we made. And now 2 things are actually happening. It is backing up our site to Dropbox online in the cloud storage, and it's also backing up to our desktop because I have the app installed, which synchronizes. So it's just about finished. It shouldn't take much longer. Right, so there we go, 100%. And if there were any problems, you would receive an error message, you know, to say exactly what went wrong. In this case, everything went perfectly fine. And if you just look to the bottom of my screen, you will see that it's now been synchronized with my PC. So I have a copy now on my PC, which I can use, which is safe. I can, again, if I wanted to back this up somewhere else, like a thumb drive or external hard drive, I could do that. And it's also at our Dropbox folder online. There you go, in the folder we assigned. So there we go. Now you have automatic backups for your site, so you can sleep knowing that your site is continuously being backed up automatically. So that is it for this tutorial.
In the next set of videos, we are going to take a look at a plugin called Page Builder by Site Origin. This plugin will allow you to effortlessly and easily create content on your site with drag and drop ease, with the use of widgets and the ability to add columns. And it's really a fantastic plugin. And the reason I'm recommending this plugin to you is that, you know, if you've been using the WordPress WYSIWYG editor for any amount of time, you realize that it is not as, you know, easy to use. It is pretty easy to use, but whenever you're trying to create complex bits of content, it doesn't quite work, as in what you see isn't always what you get. And I've found that this particular plugin has just filled the gap, you know, where the regular editor, you know, has fallen short. So without further ado, let me just go and it is a free plugin. So if you just go plugins and add new, it's available in the WordPress repository, and just type in Page Builder. It should be the first one on the list. Page Builder by Site Origin. Just install now. Click OK.
activate the plugin. And what you will notice is that when you go to create either posts or pages, and I'm just going to create a new page, and I'll call it Page Builder. Then you will see, in addition to the visual and text tabs, there's a new tab that's called Page Builder. Once you click on that tab, you realize that basically you'll be able to create content on a grid by using building blocks. And by default there will be one block there, and just to add additional blocks, you can add columns. So you can add 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, just add, and you'd be able to just drop content inside these columns, and you'll be able to create the content in exactly the way that you see it here. And it's really easy to delete pardon me, a building block once you've created it, and to move them around just by dragging and dropping. So if we wanted to create another 2 columns, then by default it will be added right below. And it's very simple to add a widget and just place it inside these blocks. And the beautiful thing is that because it uses widgets, it's so easy to add content. So you will see a lot of the widgets that you're already familiar with: pages, text, metadata, recent posts, custom menus. And there'll also be some additional widgets like embedded video, self-hosted video, animated images, buttons, price boxes, etc. And there are more widgets that you can add, because just about any plugin that you add to your site that uses a widget will be populated in this area. So you're really only limited by your imagination as to the types of layouts and the type of content that you can create using Page Builder. So it does actually come with an additional set of recommended plugins and widgets. So if we just click on that button, and just a couple of useful widgets that it recommends: Black Studio Tiny MC widget, for example. Usually for creating content, the default is the text widget, and of course it's difficult to create content using this widget unless you know HTML. But what this widget does is that it basically puts the WYSIWYG editor inside a widget for you to create content just as you would. And the other is a slider, price table widget, and masonry widget. So I'm just going to pause this video and install these. You just need to click install now and install all of these widgets. Okay, so I've activated all the recommended widgets. So in the next video I'm going to show you how you can build beautiful content using this plugin. In this video I'm going to show you how to build a custom page with a fairly involved layout, and I'm actually at the site origin homepage, and this is of course the company that builds the Page Builder plugin. And basically what we're going to do is create a design like you see on a lot of business sites. So basically you have a slider which you can click forward and backwards, and you have something of like a little announcement here which clicks onto their theme portfolio, and then you have 3 columns with just basically showcases what they do. They offer free WordPress themes, powerful plugins, help and support, and they do have some nice plugins, so you can go and check it out. But like I said, what we're trying to do is to replicate this layout, not to build it exactly like this, but to replicate the layout. So we go to a dashboard and we just add a new page. And I'm just going to name this page Home because I want to use it as a home page, as a landing page. So this is what I want customers to see the first time they visit my site. Go over to the Page Builder tab, and this first column here, we are going to, this first row, pardon me, we're going to just add a widget, and we're going to add the slider. Now, in the interest of time, I went ahead and added the slides and created a slider. Because what this widget does is basically when you go to the meta slider options, which is on the left hand side there, you create the slide, you name the slide, and when you come to this widget, you just select it by name. So my slider is called New Slider. So I'll just drop that there, and what I need is another row. I just want it to be one column, and this would be for basically our announcement. I'm going to add a widget, and I'm going to use the visual editor because I want to add text, and this is where we just put the bit that says we build free themes. So I'll just go on ahead and prepare the text, just to save time. So I'm just gonna center that, and going to make this use a heading tag, heading 2, just to make it stand out. And actually I want this one to be a little smaller, so I'm going to use heading 3 and add a link, of course, to our portfolio page. Wherever, let's open it in a new window. So whatever you want to link to, it's just simple adding a link. So we're done there. And as you can see, I actually put it in the wrong row, this widget, but it's easy to move. You just click and drag. So now it's where I want it to be. I want it to be separate from the slider. And just one more row. I need a row, and then this is where I'm going to put my 3 columns. Add it there, and just to ensure that you add the widget to the right row, you need to put your cursor over the area, and when it turns blue or light blue like this, then you know you're in the right area. And then we're going to add the widget, and again I need the visual editor. And let me just go back to my text, and I'm just going to say check out all our products. But above that, I want to put a little icon like you saw on the page. So it's just as simple as adding media. And I've already added the images. So for that first one that says check out all products, then I'll use this as a gear icon. So I'll insert that into the page. And I want this to be at the very top. going to center it, and then I'll put back my text, and then I'm done. And the wonderful thing that you can do, so instead of doing this 3 times for each of the columns, I can just duplicate this, and I can just drag it over, and again I can duplicate, drag it over. So instead of having to select the widget again, and then all I have to do is go in, and then I am going to change the icon to the about icon. Done it again. Just cut. And then for the text, just a little bit about the business. Then I'm done, and then I'll just edit the last one, and let's see if I can do this another way. So the image source, okay, never mind. What I do is highlight it, and then I want this to be for my mailing, and then I will center, get the text, and I just want it to say sign up below, and then I'm done. And just one more thing I want to do is to okay, so as I actually just accidentally deleted that widget. If we go to the very top here, we can just undo. What I wanted to do was just highlight the box because I want to add a button. So we just add a simple button, and then this window just open asking for the text to put on the button. So that very first area had a link to all products, so I'll just put download now, put a destination for the button. Select whether I wanted to open a new window, and I can justify, center, align, choose the color of the button, and I want to use an orange button to grab attention. And again, instead of doing this 3 times, I can just duplicate, duplicate, and then I can drag it over, drag it over, and then I just need to change the text for this button, because this is for our About Us page. So I'll just put learn more. Done. Edit the other one, which is to go to our sign up page. I just want this to say sign me up. Done. And publish. And if we just give it a second to update, and if we go ahead and view this page, okay, so one thing I forgot to do was I wanted this to be a full width page. I'm just going to go back and go back to our editor, change the default template to a full page, and to remove comments, trackbacks, update, and then view page. Refresh, and there you go. We have our landing page with our slider, basically our announcement about what the site is about, a link to our portfolio, products page, about page, assignment page, and you can do minor tweaks to this just to get the buttons to line up, but this is pretty nice if you ask me. And if you wanted to just get rid of this title, of course WordPress adds the name of the page to the top. Then there is a plugin called Hide Title, which is free. It's in the WordPress repository, and it just adds this tab here where you can select hide title, and if we update that, and the last thing I want to do is to go and customize, pardon me, and I want to make this page our new home page. So if we now go back and click home, there you go. The title at the top of the page is gone. We have a slider, we have our columns, and this is just a beautiful layout that we were able to build with the Page Builder plugin. Okay, so in this video I just want to show you another quick feature of the Page Builder plugin. And if we go to New Pages and just select Add New, then what you can do, so after you've done all the hard work and created that beautiful layout, or any layout that you've customized, then if you just go over to the Page Builder tab, and of course you would put a name to your page, but I just want to show you this feature that says Pre-Built Layouts. And if you click on that, and what you'll be able to is basically clone a page that you've already created with the Page Builder plugin. So any page that you've created before would appear here in the drop down. So the name of the page that we just created was the home page. So if I click insert, and it's just going to give me a warning because it's going to overwrite whatever we have there, and in this case we don't have anything there, so it's perfectly fine. Then it will clone the exact layout with all the widgets and the columns and the settings that we had before. And if we just name this clone so that we can go and take a look at it. So as you can imagine, it did take us a little bit of time to get the settings and get the rows and the columns and everything exactly the way we wanted. But now that we've done that hard work, so if you have pages that you use a lot on your site, such as download pages, sales pages, landing pages, similar pages, any pages that you use a lot of that type of page, then it will be now so easy to clone the page. You don't have to start from scratch each time to get that perfect layout. And so I'll just hit publish. And remember, this is a brand new page. So really, in a matter of seconds or minutes, depending on how many changes you want to make to your new page, then I'll just open it in an incognito window. Then you will basically have an exact replica of the page that you already created. Oh, and I forgot to set it as a full width page. Let me just go back and do that. Default full page and update. But I just hope you see how useful this is. That once you've gotten the layout that you like, that you can just basically replicate it in seconds or minutes, and this will save you a lot of time. So there we have another page that looks exactly like the one that we've created before. And this is also very useful if you do split testing. So if you're testing a page for conversions and you want to change the header or any particular element of the page, then you just simply go into your editor, clone the page, and you just change. So I mean, you just edit these as you did before. So if you wanted to change the slider, just select a different slider. Done. If you just wanted to change some text or the button or the text on the button, you just edit, and then you just have a brand new page similar to the one before, but without starting from scratch. Another benefit of using the Page Builder plugin is that if you go to Appearance, is that now all the widgets that are available within the Page Builder plugin can now be used on your sidebar and your footer areas and all your other widget areas. So essentially, even if you don't use it to build pages, you could just use it to just really customize your widget areas. So for example, if you wanted to add an image or some embed code, such as a video, or if you wanted to add your autoresponder, then you'd have to use this text widget. And then for example, if you wanted to add an image, you'd have to know a bit of HTML, to call on the source and all that. But what you can do now is just use this visual editor widget, drag it into your sidebar, and then you'll be able to create just about any content. Of course, you do have to keep in mind the size of your widget area, because not all types of content would be appropriate for the size of the widget area. But like I said, basically, you don't have to know any code now, because now you could just use the visual editor, add your images, add your text, style your text, add videos, and all these wonderful things. And of course, all the other widgets would be available, such as adding price tables, price boxes, the masonry layout for adding posts, galleries, embedding videos, all these additional widgets. You could just easily, testimonials, just drop them in to your widget area without knowing any code and just easily customize them.